Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ifa Zulaika binti Rajab Ali with matric number of 1170338. My supervisor is Dr. Hanis Nadia binti Yahya, and inshallah for today I'm going to present a review on comparison between duck wheat protein content and other protein sources and its application. So this is the outline for my presentation, which consists of introduction, growth of duck wheat species, protein and other nutritional composition of duck wheat, comparison with other protein sources, application of duck wheat, conclusion and references. This is the objective, which is to review study on duck wheat species, the comparison of duck wheat protein with other protein sources, and the application of duck wheat. I've used this kind of search engines throughout my study, which are Science Direct, Google Scholar, Upon Access Thesis and Dissertations, which is OATD, and National Centre of Biotechnology Information, NCBI. Okay, for introduction, duck wheat, which has been called as kainam, kaipum, or kaine, with the meaning of eggs of the water in Thai language, has been consumed as one of cheap protein sources for many years ago. Duck wheat is a species of aquatic plant that lives in watery areas such as marshes, lakes, and ponds. Due to some remarkable advantages of this small aquatic plant, such as high protein content, ability to absorb nutrients and other chemicals from the water where they live, and the rapid accumulation of biomass compared to other terrestrial plants, make duck wheat a focus in the field of study and attracted researchers' attention since 1970s. Next is the growth of duck wheat. Duck wheat has a very simple morphological structure. They don't have stems, but they have leaves that look like oval-shaped fronds, and the size of the fronds varies according to the species. For instance, Wolffia has the smallest average diameter, which is 2 mm, and below, followed by Lamina species 6 to 8 millimeters, and the size can be bigger up to 20 mm, which is Spirodela, and each frond may or may not have roots. There are several reproduction methods that was carried out by duck wheat plant, which are rapid clone growth and by producing unisexual and monoecious flower and seeds. Okay, now we're gonna proceed to duck wheat species part. Generally, there are about 40 species in 5 genera of duck wheat, which is Lamna, Wolffia, Wolffiella, Spirodela, and Landoltia. Okay, at first, duck wheat consists of only 4 genera, which is Lamna, Spirodela, Wolffia, and Wolffiella, until the last findings was included, which is the Landoltia, that gives the total of all duck wheat is 5. So, based on the recent findings, this is all species of duck wheat that has been found. It has 5 genera. And then next is the nutritional composition of duck wheat. Okay, in this section, I'm going to explain about the nutritional content of 4 duck wheat species that we believe contains the highest protein content among all other species in duck wheat genera. Okay, it is Wolffia globosa, Wolffia oryza, Wolffia microscopica, and Wolffia yellina. Okay, Wolffia globosa, it contains about 20% of protein, 44% carbohydrates, 5% of fat, and they're rich in vitamins A, B2, B6, C, and nicotinic acid. And it also offers all 9 essential amino acids, dietary fibers, polyphenols, iron, zinc, and B12 vitamin. And otherwise, Wolffia microscopica, it the top spot in the total protein content chart, which is 29% of protein content when compared to other species, that makes this species best fit for human consumption, although it was generally low in others fat, starch, and fiber content. Okay, the next one is Wolffia oryza. Wolffia oryza, it has the average of protein content at high enough for human needs, which is up to 25% of protein content. And Wolffiella yellina also has a relatively high total protein content, which up to 35%, that makes it to be recommended for human nutrition. Okay, the next slide is about comparison with other protein sources. The first is soybean. Okay, soybean is known to have a range of 30 to 50% of protein content is in its grains. Therefore, to meet the consumer's demand, scientists have to work hard to produce soybean that is genetically modified, which is it has high quality, such as pest-resistant soybean, herbicide-tolerant soybean, so that it can increase the productivity of the soybean. So, when it comes to GM food, it raised the concerns among consumers due to the risk from the usage of GMOs product that have been recorded. Okay, the wheat has a protein content that is close to the protein content in soybean, which is 20 to 30% per dry weight, which is high enough for human consumption. Second is lentils. Lentils contain between 20.6 to 31.4% of protein based on dry weight. Okay, in regard to protein decomposition, lentil protein is usually composed around 16% of albumin, 70% of globulin, 11% of glutenins, and 3% of prolamins. However, there are anti-nutritional compounds, which is A and Cs, and allergens like protease inhibitors, phytic acid, tannins, and lectins that can limit the nutritional potential of proteins that was derived from lentils and other pulses. Okay, and if not being properly removed or inactivated, okay, the trypsin and chymotrypsin, which are known as protease inhibitors, may reduce the protein digestibility during processing. Okay, the protein content in poultry meat ranges between 15 to 35%, depending on the water and fat content of the product itself. But nowadays, people tend to look for meat protein substitutes as prices of goods increase due to the economic issues, and vegetarians who still need protein although they don't eat meat. Okay, so promoting plant proteins over animal proteins can also bring human health benefit, which can prevent type 2 diabetes that may be due to increase the fiber intake, the polyphenols in plant protein, or an effect of plant protein on glucose metabolism. The average of protein content in most meat product was recorded almost equal to the protein content in duck wheat, which is 20 to 35%. This is a table, a summary table of protein content for protein sources that have been stated before. Okay, based on this table, it stated that duck wheat contained 20 to 35% of protein. Soybean have 30 to 50% of protein. Lentil have 20.6 to 31.4 proteins. And lastly, poultry, it has 15 to 35% of protein content. Okay, next is about the application of duck wheat. There are three main applications of duck wheat, which is the first is human food, second is fodder for domesticated animal, and the third is wastewater treatment agent. For human food, through many generations, Wolffia species has been used as a vegetable meal by the Burmese, Laotians, northeastern Thailand, and some other Asian countries. Okay, rather than that, duck wheat also has been used as fodder to feed domesticated animals like pigs, cattle, rams, sheep, horses, waterfowls, and fishes. And then in order to provide high nutrient supplement in their diet. And lastly, duck wheat has a good stress tolerance and can quickly remove nutrients including nitrogen and phosphorus from sewage water. That makes duck wheat as the best wastewater treatment agent. For conclusion, duck wheat has been used as one of cheaper alternative protein sources to human and animals for decades ago, although they were still less commercialized. Okay, Wolffia family of Lemnaceae is said to be a genus that's suitable for human consumption compared to the species belonging to the subfamily Lemnoidae like Spirodela, Landoltia, and Lemna because of its soluble oxalic content. Okay, instead of human food and fodder, duck wheat was known as powerful natural wastewater, like have been stated before, because it acts as wastewater treatment agent. Okay, due to the rapid growth and high nutrient uptake. Okay, with up to 35% of protein content, duck wheat plants are comparable to many other protein sources such as soybean, lentils, and poultry meats. And lastly, this is some references that helps in studying this review. Thank you for listening, and I will end my presentation with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.